Hi, kindergarten friends. It's Mrs. Buchanan, and I'm wearing my sun hat because today's story takes place at a beach. Today we're going to be learning about the ab word family. Now, the ab word family, the end of it is A, which does the A part, and B that does B. So I'm going to write it on a whiteboard. I got a bigger one. Check this out. And it looks like this. A, B. There we go. And our AB will be the formation of all our words today. And we're going to say that AB reads as in crab. So there's my little crab. And so today we're going to make a few words, and then I have an awesome story to share with you today. So let's see. Oh, I know. Sometimes when I go to the airport, I need to get into a car that we're able to borrow. Well, it's not so much borrow as someone else drives us. Does anyone know what that's called? It ends with ab. Let's see, I'll write an ab here. Oh, cab. Good. So a cab might drive you to the airport if you ever get to go somewhere again. Next, dab. I've seen a few of you do a dab dance move in our classroom. Let's see. Dab. Good. And I'm going to add my AB to make the word dab. Let's think of another word. Oh, something you guys like to do in class is talk. And there's kind of a funny word for it. It's gab. So I'm going to start with a G for the G sound. And I'm going to add AB, gab. Lately, I've had to gab on the phone with my mom and my sister. Oh, here's something you won't want anyone to do. A little jab at you. A little jab is like a little poke. Let's see. Jab. There's my letter J. Don't forget the dot. Make sure it's not sitting on it and it's floating above like its head popped off. Okay, jab. That looks pretty good. Oh, some scientists work there. And doctors, it starts with the letter L. Lab. That's right. We've got lots of hardworking doctors and scientists in Canada. Lab. And they work in a lab sometimes. Oh, if something gets taken really quickly, the word we use is nab. So let's see. Nab. Yeah, a letter N. Great job, guys. Nab. That's really good. And now, do you think any of you can figure out the two sounds we need to make the word crab? Could be two different letters. Do you think it's a C or a K for crab? If you guessed C, you're right. And then what letter goes cr? You're right, it's the R we need in that blend. So now we've got cr. And then we'll add our ab. Crab. There we go. Well, I think that's a good start. Are you guys ready for a story? All right, that's up next. A house for Hermit Crab. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the ocean floor. It was frightening out in the open without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and attacks me, he thought. I must find a new house soon. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. He moved right in, wiggling and wriggling about inside it to see how it felt. It felt just right. But it looks so plain, thought Hermit Crab. In March, Hermit Crab came to some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It's so plain it needs you. I'll come, whispered a small sea anemone, and gently Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and he put it on his shell. Boop. In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving along the ocean floor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signaled the little sea star. So carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his house. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some beautiful coral. They were hard and they didn't move. How pretty you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to help make my house more beautiful? I would, creaked a crusty coral, and gingerly Hermit Crab picked it up and put it on his shell. In June, Hermit Crab came across a group of snails slowly creeping along the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris and leaving a neat path behind them. How tidy and hard-working you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? I would, offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Boop. In July, Hermit Crab came across several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. How fierce you look, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, answered a spiky sea urchin. And so gratefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near his shell. In August, he and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, cried the sea urchin. In September, Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the water. How bright you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to light up our house? I would, said one lanternfish, and it swam over near the shell to light it up. In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. How sturdy you are, said Hermit Crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, answered the pebbles. So Hermit Crab picked them up one by one with his claw, and he built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect, cheered Hermit Crab. But in November, Hermit Crab felt his shell seemed a little too small. Little by little over the year, Hermit Crab had gotten bigger. Soon he'd have to move and find another bigger home. But he'd come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They've been so good to me, thought Hermit Crab. They're like a family. How could I ever leave them? In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I've outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? I've outgrown my house too, answered Hermit Crab. I must move on. You're welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. I promise, said the little crab. The following January, Hermit Crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that little shell forever, said Hermit Crab. And he waved goodbye. Goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he'd ever remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house. A big empty shell, and it looked, well, it did look a little plain, but sponges, he thought, barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. This will be the perfect home. There we go, and he's all moved in. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed my story about the hermit crab. Before we go, I thought we would read our sheet with the ab words together. Here we go. The ab family. K, cab. D, dab. G, gab. J, jab. O, lab. N, nab. T, tab. And now let's do our blends and digraphs. Ready? BL reads bl in blab. CR reads cr in crab. DR reads dr in drab. FL reads fl in flab. GR reads gr in grab. SC reads sk in scab. SL reads sl in slab. And ST reads st in stab. Great reading, everybody.